Before I came to UK, I lived in Afghanistan. I came here when I was 14. I was accompanied with a trafficker. The man who was accompanied with me told me to wait for him, but he never turned up. It was late night, saw a policeman. When I spoke to him, he took me to the police station. Then I stayed there for an hour or two. Then they took me to my foster carer's house.
Unaccompanied children and young people have various experiences which I think are still misunderstood. They experience horrific journeys, they flee persecution, violence, they get separated from their family members and siblings. They suffer a lot of trauma, a lot of uncertainty. Sometimes they don't know where they're going to end up.
The children that we foster, they've been persecuted, they're not even in their own country, they're not amongst people that they know. The culture is totally different and they're kind of just plucked from one end of the world, and I think that is traumatic.
Those threats to the very survival of both individuals, families and communities are such that the only option then for those families and communities is to try to keep children safe by sending them to countries where safety is more likely.
So they would have a very different experience, and I think that's what we really need to tap into and really have a good understanding of, because their needs are going to be very different.
When I arrived, I was sent to a reception center where we were about 30 young people, and it took me 2.5 months to come to a foster care. It was absolutely new thing to me. So a new culture, new community, new language. I was just trying to be my best and try to fit in.
When I first arrived, my foster carer made me comfortable by giving me a tour of her house, showing me her daughter's pictures and showing me her kittens. And the next morning we had breakfast together.
There's the issue about how long the child may be in care. So is this going to be short term, 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 months? Or maybe that will extend over many years, where that relationship that you've had with the child or with those children will extend into early adulthood.
I went to a carer for a week, and she was a very lovely woman. But again, there was house rules and mannerisms and all these things. I have to be very careful, and it was different, very different what I experienced when I was in different country.
I fostered 2 Syrian boys who'd come from the war zone territories. We used to go to the shops and they used to buy whatever they needed. They bought all their ingredients, came back, and then we'd spend the afternoon in the kitchen and they'd show me how their mother cooked. There was such a big culture difference, and I think people don't understand that when they come across, you might feel that it's not fitting in the norm of our box, but it's the norm for them.
Even if it's a cultural match, for example, or a language match or a religious match, we need to be aware that there's always going to be that diversity even within cultures, and that is something that's really, really important.
I believe that all children just need the basic needs. They need to have a roof over their head, they need security, they need love, and they need someone there to listen to them, and that is what fostering is all about, really.
The only thing we seek in coming life is just love, care and respect. And coming to Auntie Shada's house, I was given rather than seeking it.
Foster care is essentially a family life. For the whole human species, family life is how we come to grow, to develop and to thrive.
Welcoming them as their own family is a house atmosphere. So soon you create atmosphere where you are being treated equally, then I think it's the only thing one wants.
My foster carer helped me through my asylum seeking process by giving me emotional support. She talked to me before going to interviews, and every time when I was sad, she was there to talk to me. I think that's the best help and support you can give to an accompanied asylum seeker child.
Some of the challenges that foster carers face is helping to support the young people with the uncertainty that they face.
It's a big burden being having not given the status and everything. The only person can help you coming out of that fear is your carer. Not your social worker, not your friends, no colleague, nobody. Because you spend most of your time, you share same roof, you share food together, everything. And that's where you get your confidence.
And you have to know that that is what that child needs, and you have to be able to give it to them.
Offering them the opportunity of family life is probably one of the things that is most likely to lead to them feeling that they can settle.
I think a lot of people find the assessment process quite intrusive, so we need to tell them a little bit about why we need to have this information and the importance of it, and that involves us finding a little bit about their history, their parenting experiences, their understanding, and really finding out where they are.
They need to know about your health. Are you fit enough to take care of these children? Your mental health state. Will you be able to cope with the stress of having these children in your home? And they are quite severe checks that they do go through, but I do understand why it is, and I'm sure anybody looking out there to foster will appreciate the checks that they do.
You're taking on a pretty significant task with all the opportunities that actually brings and all the rewards that actually brings, but it does need to be thought about carefully and in detail.
We're seeing the rise of single parent families, blended families, extended families. No longer is it just the nuclear family. You know, we need to appreciate that there's a lot of diversity. Campaigns need to be targeted towards men and single parents as well, because we need to be responding to the society that we're living in.
In many foster care placements, directly matching those issues with the culture, religion, ethnicity and language of the foster carers can be difficult.
Recruiting foster carers, with all the advertising that you use, word of mouth is the most effective. We use a lot of our own foster carers to speak about what fostering is, to make sure that we're providing information to people that don't know a lot about fostering, and we need to be able to tap into that pool of skill set that they already have. It's not that, you know, this person is going to be a finished product. We need to think about their personal development and training, and I think particularly more so around when they are going to care for unaccompanied young people, asylum-seeking children, because I think you need that knowledge base, and it needs to be evolving, and they need to be constantly trained and being given that support.
They've lost their identities, they've lost their home, their nation, their culture. They've lost a lot when they come over here, and I think we need to actually understand that before we start to foster them.
We know that there needs to be active, proactive, sensitive, evidence-informed support for all foster carers with this particular group of young people.
These children need a lot more nurturing, they need a lot more love and care and a lot more understanding, and sometimes it's not easy.
It's extremely scary for a young person to be in the country where this culture is alien, language is alien, the laws are alien, and then having a foster carer where they don't understand that and they don't have the training to respond to that. So our foster carers need to have that training.
They need to know what's the process are going on, updated with the government's rule and regulations, making sure that they find a school or any other educational institute near you, and also at the same time making sure that the children are being integrated in society.
Those foster carers, in terms of their commitment over time, will be very dependent on those support services that they receive.
They are grateful for the system, and they are grateful for the opportunities that they have been given, and I think Zishan is a life example of those opportunities. All the opportunities he's been given, he has actually taken them on board.
My aspiration and dreams are really focus on my education, and that's been always a motive. Education, being an educated person.
All these children at some point will start to give back to the system and appreciate that in their hour of need we were there for them, and now they want to do something in return for us.
We do experience a lot of things that absolutely reduce our confidence and does impact on our personality, but I think it's never too be late. If you do get certain helps, then you can be a different person.
If anyone is thinking about becoming a foster carer, they need to understand that it's a very challenging job. At the same time, it can be fun as well.
What I'd say to people who want to foster unaccompanied minors, go for it. It is absolutely an amazing experience. The children are wonderful, they're very appreciative, and it's a very satisfying experience.